I haven't been doing much, to tell you the truth. Oh no. A little fundraising, setting up a celebrity soup kitchen, sticking bandages around sick puppies, all that kind of thing. Me? I've been called a saint in the press. I don't mean to blow my own trumpet, but it's true. I'm absolutely aglow with goodwill at the moment. Now you guys check out the menu, because me, I'm expecting a very important message.
Good evening, viewers. On tonight's show, we review Rage Racer. We also review Super Puzzle Fighter on the Saturn. And Richard goes down to Namco Wonder Park again for the next Virtua Fighter 3 tournament.
I say goodness brings its own reward, and it's true! It's finally happened to me! Next week sees the opening of my very own hospital wing. Can you believe it, Paul? It's crazy, I tell you. Oh yes, the Big Boy Barry postnatal annex. Oh, I seem to be collecting a lot at the moment. I've already got the Barry Theatre Workshop for the irrevocably disturbed, the Green Barry Landfill, and the Basingstoke Big Boy Barry Bottle Bank. What's next, I say? Me? I can't help it. I can't help being a model citizen. Take the reviewers, for instance. Where would they be without me? I tell you where. They'll still be juggling at the entrance of the shopping centre in Guildford. That's where. And getting paid tuppence halfpenny for it as well. I think we've seen just about every martial art going in a video game over the past few years. We've had open hand techniques, swordplay, even a little bit of kickboxing. What we haven't seen is venerable samurai warriors flinging tiny plastic tiles at each other. Well, we have now, because the sort-of little maniacs that populate the Street Fighter games have suddenly got into columns. That's right, no more pansy little fireballs, none of this roundhouse malarkey. The name of the game is arranging falling patterns of gemstones more quickly than your opponent. Ruthless, huh? However, the old ways haven't vanished altogether. Your character can still pull off the occasional special move. He just needs to arrange his gems in the appropriate fashion, and voila! Your opponent hits the floor like an anvil out of a hotel window. What, the world asks, will the Japanese think of next?
Super Puzzle Fighter 2 is the latest game to hit the Saturn, and well, it's just columns basically with a few additional added extras. If you like these kind of games, if you like Tetris, you like columns, then this is the one, you know. But like we've said 1,000 times before, you know, we've seen these games before, they keep coming out, and I don't know, I'm just not interested anymore, basically.
A more cynical person with me would say, aha, those wacky jabs, but I don't think they're geniuses, because I think more quirky ideas for games always work, and this one is a win as far as I'm concerned. It's an unusual concept to be sure, but it's damn playable, and at the end of the day, what do graphics matter?
Like I said, I've seen it all before, I disagree.
Now this is what I call a hotly anticipated sequel. After Ridge Racer Revolution proved to be, well, unrevolutionary, all eyes turned to the land of the rising sun to produce a game worthy of the title. Well, a title with lots of R's in it anyway. The premise by now is well known. Take one highly tuned hot rod racer, add a few gorgeous babes, showing more skin than is perhaps strictly necessary, and take to the roads with no regard for the sanctity of human life whatsoever. There is, however, one new addition to the game, and that is hills. Yep, now you can thunder blindingly up steep banks, threatening all the time to launch yourself into the fragrant Japanese sunrise. Ridge Racer is the game that made the PlayStation in the first place. Now the gauntlet falls squarely into the laps of the official sequel to fend off Nintendo's unwelcome advances.
Namco have come out with yet another classic. Last month we had Soul Blade, this month we got Rage Racer. I mean, this game has more adrenaline pumping action in it than you can possibly imagine. Your heart will be leaping out of your chest and recovering in a small corner. This is hot, this is good. Not quite as sort of presentationally slick as before maybe, but more options, more action, yes.
Yeah, it's a great game. I mean, the main improvement is the fact that courses aren't so linear. You can go up hills, you can go down into valleys, and that does make a huge difference. As Rob said, the one quibble is the graphics do look a bit grey and dull at times, and not the colour that Ridge Racer had, but the speed is there, and for this game, that's all important.
Oh, they've come a long way, haven't they, bless them. So much so that I even let them out time to time. In fact, we dispatched Richard Pitt off to Namco Wonder Park this week on the condition that he was a very good boy and he behaved himself. You see, folks, it seems that the recent Virtua Fighter 3 tournament between England and Denmark caused a little bit of a stir, so a sequel was hastily ordered. Therefore, I present you the feature, Virtua Fighter 3 2. Virtua Fighter 3 Part 2. No, that should be... the feature.
Hello. Right, listen, this is very complicated. The first time we covered this event, it was England versus Denmark. This is completely different. This is England versus America. This is the big boys. This is the official worldwide Virtua Fighter 3 Championship.
Yes, it's true. We've been to Namco Wonder Park before, and to our acute embarrassment, they were playing our feature when we arrived. There's me, and Pac-Man. But who's this?
On Friday morning, 7 a.m. Heathrow. My name is Doug. I'm from the United States of America, specifically Detroit, Michigan. Been playing Virtua Fighter for 2 or 3 years now. Played people from all kinds over the world, people in Taiwan and Hong Kong and Japan, and now London.
Ah, so it's Doug, is it? Well, he needed some challenges, and Derek got down to the busy task of rounding a few up. And there was no shortage of takers, let me tell you that. There they all are now. And so, the fighting began. First up was Ryan Hart, the current UK champion of everything. Concentration was hard. Wheels were harder, and the excitement very quickly reached fever pitch. As you can see by their incredibly determined faces. Challenges rose, and they fell. But everybody got their chance to try. Here is Ryan with axe-wielding Dane Lars Sorensen, who originally lost to Ryan in the very first Virtua Fighter 3 Championship. There was no stopping Ryan this time either, even against the mighty Super Doug. I looked on, amazed.
Any comments?
Well, Doug didn't do quite as well as he imagined, but when the spotlight is on, even the mightiest people fall. But not Ryan Hart. He beat all comers from every single country going. Look at the concentration on that face. Here's a close-up of the winning eye. And the crowd cannot believe Ryan Hart's sheer determination to win yet again. Neither can he. At the end of the day, it was just a case of same time, same place, and the same winner. The crowd went wild.
78 countries here tonight, and what's next? Ryan versus Venus, or something like that, but I'll shut up now and I'll get on with the business.
Alright, so it was a lame joke, but what do you say to somebody who set back international relations by about 20 years for the sake of a few cartoon characters? But it wasn't the only trophy I had to give out. There was also the awe-strikingly good look-alike contest, featuring Pie and Lion.
Okay, does anybody want to challenge to somebody else?
The evening was not over. I decided Derek Lynch needed a good thrashing at Virtua Fighter 3. And for a time, it worked.
As of yet, Derek
Look at the fear.
has not delivered a single
I put on my special Korean fighting grimace, and the match began. I won the first few rounds, but after that it all went wrong, and Derek started to use his Oriental hand symbols of death. And won. And won. And won. And finally, won. Graciously.
Match is over. Derek Lynch wins it.
I decided it was about time to leave.
Well, as pop jumps go, that was certainly one of the best. Apart from the time Richard tried to take on the vacuum cleaner empty-handed. Oh, it's a terrible battle, fought long and hard. Okay, well this all neatly brings us to the Tips Bouncer. Now, over the past few weeks, I have tried to spread the charitable message around the edge, trying to teach the bouncer the simple human virtues of humility and generosity. And his quote to all of this was, hang on, if you don't get your do-gooding, squeaky clean little mug out of my doorway, they'll be using your teeth for arcade tokens. Oh, he's a charmer, isn't he? Can't argue with that. Well, you could, but you're going to end up in a hospital.
Excuse me, 1 second. I'm afraid if goes like this, you just can't come in. Tomb Raider, please. Oh yeah, Tomb Raider. Enter the inventory screen on Tomb Raider on the PlayStation and press L1 triangle, L2, R2, R2, L2, 0 and L1. That will top up all your weapons and all your ammo. Dear me, what a tough bird. Wouldn't want to meet her down a dark alley. Me and that Lara Croft go back years. I used to know her before she was famous. She worked at the Cafe Delight where I had me breakfast every morning. In fact, got a bit of my memorabilia. That's what she whipped me eggs with.
Oh well, the end of another show.
Is it not, or is it just a load of snot? And Richard goes balmy bonkers crazy at the Gamer Top 100 party.
You get Paul! Iris, not Bernie the Emu, it is of course the Tips Bouncer. He'll be celebrating yet another year of scouting at everybody, knocking heads against the wall, and generally being a violent, petty, petulant, obstinate little Jobsworth. Bless his black little heart. Oh well, a birthday wouldn't be a birthday without a few surprises, would it? Now here's a quick sneaky peek at the floaty beat-em-up, Psychic Force.
As far as beat-em-ups go, we've had every theme imaginable over the past 5 years. We've had futuristic cityscapes, 16th century warriors, turtles, we've even had fat snowmen throwing meringues at each other if you're a fan of clay fighters. This is something a little different. They float. That's right, in the air, the same rules, the same special moves, they just float about. A very strange idea, I think you'll agree. I mean, we've seen this sort of thing before in the Dragon Ball Z games. I mean, that had a split screen, but the main ancestor of this sort of game is the Monkey television program. Set in ancient Japan, it featured men very like this, floating about and screaming in pain because their head ring was too tight. That's another very strange idea. Nevertheless, what goes around comes around, and you get games rather like this. As a bonus sneaky peek, we have Battle Sports, which is also from Acclaim. It's also incredibly violent, and yes, it's yet another future sports simulator. Basically, a 3D fighting game where you're in a tank, you have to go around, collect objects, and shoot as many things as humanly possible. Something tells me the lads at Acclaim ought to lay off the red meat a bit. Coming soon on the PlayStation.
Did you enjoy that, viewers? Huh? Did you? Huh? Oh, I certainly did. Whilst you've been watching that sneaky peek, I've been reflecting on my long and happy association with the Tips Bouncer. You know, the cruelty, the oppression, the exorbitantly costly hire of the child suppress. It's been great. Now, while you guys are taking a quick gander of this month's hot releases, I think I'll get back to the planning.
There's an awful lot of cross-pollination in the computer industry at the moment. PlayStation games go onto PC, Saturn games go onto PlayStations, Neo Geo CD games go absolutely nowhere, and the latest PC game to go onto the Saturn is Scorcher, another futuristic racer in the grand tradition of Wipeout. Basically, you're flying on a piece of metal, which is pretty dangerous, and you're flying through subways, tunnels and sewers, which is also pretty dangerous. Basically, the places you pick to race are the sorts of places no one ever goes to, and the reason for that is that they're incredibly dangerous. Nevertheless, you and a few brave friends have decided to brave the elements and race down these long causeways to glory or traction. It certainly is a difficult game, but thanks to Scavenger's new graphic systems, a very pretty one.
Alright, first up tonight we've got Scorcher. Now this is the Saturn version of a PC game, and it's Wipeout on a T-tray basically. It's another future racing kind of affair. And well, it's dark, it's moody, it's atmospheric, but it has no longevity whatsoever. I mean, I don't know what's going on here.
I know there's a lot been said about Scavenger, who are the new development house in town, and I feel like going to the office and say, "Oi, impress me through their letterbox," because this doesn't. I mean, all their games look wonderful. They're dark, they're futuristic, but at the end of the day, they're dreadfully dull.
Brace yourself, boys and girls. This game may look graphically very familiar. Yes, it's yet another corridor game. This is Last Rites. In fact, as it's a corridor game, it won't be Last Rites. There's bound to be a Last Rites 2, a Last Rites 3, a Last Rites 97, and probably a Last Rites add-on disc with a zombie designer included. But basically, the main difference is you have a team of warriors to drag around you and shoot zombies who've infested your town from the town hall to the local baker's oven. And that's not a pretty sight. Like any good George A. Romero film, it features bucket loads of gore, guns, and huge explosions. The only difference is, of course, is those gormless extras. But hey, there's always one who gets killed in the first reel, isn't there?
Next up tonight we've got Last Rites. Yes, it's another corridor shoot 'em up. Nice zombies, but these things are in 2D. I mean, you play Torok, you've got nice 3D polygons leaping around, you know, Tanker, 3D effort. The characters in it are 2D, alright, they're okay, but, you know, I mean, there's very, very few points on this that I can give it credit for. One useful and innovative addition to this game is CPU characters that join you in combat, adding a nice multiplayer feel to it, but that's about it.
I don't know about useful and innovative, they're awful, they're really pathetic. They just stand there in their little padded tank tops and go, what do we do now? And then they get shot, I mean, and then you're on your own and you die. And it's really awful, sorry.
Now, you must be patient, right? Moving on from one celebration to another, PC Gamer Magazine recently ended months of speculation and announced their best PC game of all time. Attracted by the heady aroma of all things free, Richard Pitt dutifully attended the awards soiree.
Let's face it, the world of PC gaming has come an awful long way. 10 years ago, everything was 2D and we had a choice of 8 colours, most of which were a shade of purple. Now we've got 3D, mapping, anti-aliasing, anything you can think of. We're here at PC Gaming to celebrate the 100 best PC games of all time. And indeed, a grand occasion it was. Celebrities packed out the small photographic studio in the city. Well, actually it was Rick, Kate and me, but there you go. Meanwhile, I tried my hand at a bit of ill-advised Oscar-style commentary.
Top 3, here we go.
And we've got Eternal and £25,000.
And have a tribute band Bjorn, I'll get my flares out. Bye.
Bye-bye.
To be in the top 3.
In second place,
Here we go, number 2. Quake is at number 2. Possibly postcard to the I don't care address, PO box, whatever, London. Here we go. Civilization and its sequel are at number 1.
So Chris, Civilization 1 and 2, have just been voted the best PC game of all time.
Yep.
How do you feel?
We're delighted at Microprose. We always know that Civ was one of the best games around, and it certainly stood the test of time. Civ 2 is still in the charts after over a year. Have never been out of the charts.
Are we expecting a Civilization 3?
Microprose are keen to develop brands, and Civ is one of the strongest brands around. So certainly, I think in the not too distant future, Civ 3 will be spoken about, and hopefully sometime you'll see Civ 3 in retail.
Well, we're almost there. My gifts haven't arrived yet, but I can't hold him off any longer. People tend to lose limbs around him when he gets touchy. Here he is then, the tips bouncer. Any sign of the gifts yet, Paul?
I'm afraid if your game's not on my birthday list, you just ain't coming in today.
Disruptor, please, birthday boy.
Oh yeah, Disruptor. On the PlayStation version, just press select during the game. This will give you the map screen, where you press triangle, X, X, circle, X, triangle, circle, circle, and that will give you full health. Then X, circle, triangle, triangle, X, circle, triangle, X will give you full ammo. Now enjoy it.
Go on then, but if you cause any sort
And crowd appreciation from the last Gloucester Festival. Come on in. He's on his own. The singers are on tape too.
Are you sure he's in there?
Quite sure.
So there was a film, and now there's a game. Independence Day was the biggest film yet seen, apart from The Lost Worlds, obviously. Every year the film blockbuster changes hands, and now there's a game hoping to achieve the same sort of sales figures. Basically, you play a warm-blooded, heroic American soldier willing to battle and lose life, limb, and his pursuit for happiness to fight off the evil alien menace. Oh, patriotic. But basically, it's an excuse for the good old arcade flight simulation, which means planes, explosions, missiles, and an entire army of ravenous tentacles waiting to take your house, beat up your mother, and sell your car. Well, that's aliens for you.
Well, we're back to the 80s. Take an enormous film license, bolt on an average game, and then drift off into bored unconsciousness in the process. And this is what's happening here. Basically, this is Afterburner and split screen Afterburner at that, which means you get twice the boring dated concept at one sitting. This is not a game, this is a joke. Sorry, Rob. Very true, it really is just Afterburner with a few little bits added to it. This could have been such a good idea. A film like Independence Day could have been awesome, yeah? A totally and utterly wasted opportunity.
The tradition of the football management game stretches far back into the mists of time. The difference is, Premier Manager 97 features more features than you could ever imagine. Basically, it's a game that works on several levels. You could be the manager, you can be the chief manager, you can be the accountant, or you can be the trainer. Whatever level of responsibility you feel comfortable with, you can play. It's got every single feature under the sun, including transfers, accounts, and the option to change your playing tactics. But most impressive of all, once you've made all your selections, you can sit back and enjoy a triumph. Or a terrible, terrible defeat, depending on how good you are, obviously. But it looks like the tradition of the football management game will be with us far, far into the future.
Oh, he's picked out his man quite beautifully. And it's finished up in the net. The goalkeeper would like the ground to open up, I'm sure.
There's a lot of footy games about at the moment, but this is definitely one of the better ones. This is Premier Manager 97, the third instalment, and it's hot. This game's massively big, and it's just awesome, basically. This is a footy game for people who like to use their brains. And I don't know what you think. But well, the football management game is very much a tried and tested format, isn't it? I mean, if you like this sort of thing, it's fine. It certainly is up on features, and as Rob says, marvellous presentation. I don't know, it's a bit like growing prize marrows. If you're into it, you're going to love it. Not my cup of tea, I don't like footy, but for anyone out there that is, do it, man.
Howdy there, viewers. Okay, now one thing at least we can offer you is top-class reporting from the wonderful world of video games. Now, I know one game that you're all waiting for, like the feverish animals that you are, was Mario Kart 64. Well, it was out in the shops a couple of weeks ago, and by now a load of you guys are playing it, completing it, and loving every minute of it. But we sent young Richard Pitt down to investigate the reality of go-karting, and he's never been quite the same since. The problem is he can't find enough forward momentum to hit down the throttle, so you have to put bricks down on there. And that's no good because he can't hit the brake. And seatbelts and Richard, that means nothing. First time he hits a gust of wind when he was out of that car, I tell you, he was flying through, he landed somewhere in China, the poor thing. Oh, it took hours to get him down, it did.
The wait for Mario Kart has been a very long and painful one. Finally, however, it's here, but there's a snag, because the nice people at Nintendo have insisted that the only way to fully appreciate the game is to come along here to the Daytona track of White City and try out the real thing. Right, so, I mean, I have my protective clothing, I have my helmet, and I have my gloves, and I'm very glad for these gloves, because if I had to war at 40 miles an hour in an unprotected go-kart, say, I'll be very glad to be wearing a pair of cotton gloves. Here we go, then.
You see, the thing about me, viewers, is that I'm a terrible, terrible coward. And while go-karting may look like an awful lot of fun from the sidelines, when faced with the prospect of actually, really, physically doing it, my wheel broke. I'm sorry. I mean, the game is fine. It's a colourful, friendly little adventure filled with lovely characters. So I decided to get some much needed go-karting practice on the arcade machines while I could. Meanwhile, they called the cars onto the tracks, and I watched on steadily, getting more and more terrified. Not that I showed it, obviously. Eventually, I couldn't put it off any longer, and I was faced with the prospect of donning my helmet and getting into the kart for race 1. Of course, the outside world, I looked as though I was loving every minute of it. Wish me luck. Of course, being a secretly expert driver, I destroyed the competition. Very funny. But a small visual gag goes a long way, and it goes a long way to expressing just some of the fear I felt that afternoon, and I do it all for you. Basically, this game is one of the most anticipated releases yet on the N64. When the original hit our shores, divorce rates soared as people stayed up all night trying to complete the damn thing. And the same will happen with this substantially graphically improved sequel. In the meantime, I think I've learned my lesson. I'll stick with rendered go-karts, because the real ones are just a little bit too fast and scary for me. However, the Gamesworld crew never miss an opportunity to rub it in.
That was the single most terrifying experience in my entire life, and surprise, I came last. Forget it, I'm going to stick to this. This is easy, this is harmless, they're little mushrooms, it's lovely. Okay, I'll do this instead.
So much for my fragile pride. Well, thank God it was only go-karting. I hate to think what happens next time they release a parachute simulator. But there you go. Never mind, away to Mario Kart. It's certainly one of the best games yet.
Okay, viewers, I didn't want it to come down to this, but I think I must. The only way to get a little more positive press reaction is to become a little more racy. So, here you go, viewers. Oh, hello. The moment you've been waiting for. The tips bouncer.
Hold on. It's Laura! Laura! I can't believe it! Look, I kept it. Tomb Raider. When you get to the inventory screen on the game, press L2, R2, triangle, L1, L1, circle, R2, L2. That'll actually give you a level skip during the game. Enjoy it while it lasts.